We are technology. The future has already happened.
Cyberpunk. Will the future be shiny and chrome, or will it be reduced for a quick sale? Well, this subgenre thinks it will be both. Today we're going to be continuing our deep dive into the cyberpunk movie Iceberg, one that covers cyberpunk movies released in the 80s and the 90s. In part 2 we're going to be looking at the middle 3 tiers. At this point, chances are you've probably heard of some of these, but I'm guessing most of these you haven't. This Iceberg was made by Brianna-Imagination on Reddit, and the template was made by Yalfi. Link to both of these will be down below. Anyway, let's dive down, shall we? Arcade. A new virtual reality video game called Arcade has been marketed to a group of teenagers, with them being brought in to test it and give feedback. But as they play more, it becomes clear that there's something more sinister within the game, with players being sucked into it when they lose. If Q is somehow involved, you know it's going to be nefarious. Lilycat. An exploratory vessel is sent out that puts people in cryosleep. After 20 years, they arrive at their destination and have received word from HQ that 2 of their crew are not who they say they are. The transmission cuts out before they can tell them exactly who they are. One by one, the crew is being killed off by mysterious bacteria, while the crew try to figure out who the imposter is. Max Headroom, 20 minutes into the future. In an effort to stop channel switching, Network 23 tried to use blipverts, a 30-second advert condensed into 3 seconds. The only catch is, it will make some people explode. Journalist Edison Carter tries to blow the conspiracy wide open, but is caught trying to escape. He smacks his head against a clearance barrier with Max Headroom written on it. To make sure Carter's disappearance doesn't cause suspicion, they make a CGI copy of his head to do his news reports. The copy gives himself the name Max Headroom. I did a video on this movie if you want to know more.
Would you like to know more?
Overdrawn at the memory bank. An apathetic man who works as a data analyst gets caught watching movies on the job. As punishment, he is sent to mandatory rehab, where the subject's mind are put into a virtual world in the body of various animals as a kind of therapy. While under, his body seems to be misplaced, and if they don't find it within 48 hours, he will die. The War of the Worlds, next century. Just before the end of the 20th century, the Martians have made contact with us humans on Earth. An independent reporter named Ian Idem breaks the news, but soon the era of authoritarianism comes down. His independence as a journalist is taken away as he becomes a tool for propaganda. His wife is abducted, his ear has been cattle tagged, and police have raided his home. Can he really afford to tell people the truth? Macross Plus. A hot-headed pilot is brought in to test a new experimental fighter craft called the YF-19, which is one of 2 made to compete for a contract. The other one, the YF-21, made by a rival company, is piloted by an old rival. The Last Angel of History. This movie is a documentary narrative hybrid that examines the impact of the works of various black artists and their influence on science fiction. This look on Afrofuturism is put against the backdrop of the story of the data thief, who is going back in time to examine these influences for himself. Robotrix. This Category 3 movie from Hong Kong is a love letter to Robocop and the Terminator. The son of an Arabian oil tycoon has been kidnapped by a ruthless robot, and to get him back, scientists transfer the mind and the likeness of a police officer who was killed during the kidnapping to a robot of their own. She becomes the ultimate crime-fighting machine, while she tries to reconnect with her humanity. Overall, very fun movie, and I also made a video on this if you want to know more.
Would you like to know more?
Wax, or the discovery of television among the bees. I don't know man, I'm way too sober to understand this film. If you put a tab of acid in a VCR, this is the sort of thing that it would play. Something about bees putting TV inside a man, which is not a sentence I ever thought I'd ever say. I had a hard time following it. I found it utterly confusing. But fun fact though, this is the first movie to be ever streamed over the internet, back in 1993. The Phantom of Regular Size. A few years before Tetsuo the Iron Man was released, director Shinya Tsukamoto made this 18-minute short film. It has a similar story of a man being transformed bit by bit into this grotesque machine. Tetsuo the Iron Man is essentially a feature-length remake of this short film. Guinea Pig Part 5, Android of Notre Dame. With his sister being terminally ill and close to death, a mad scientist performs a series of weird and gruesome experiments to keep her alive using human guinea pigs. Hands of Steel, a cyborg assassin sent by a corporation to kill a scientist and ecological activist who threatens to stand in their way. He fails his mission, with the scientist surviving the attack. To figure out what went wrong, the corporation set out to find their rogue cyborg and neutralize him. There will come soft rains. On a ship, there is a machine that controls the automatic day-to-day functions, as well as acting as an assistant for the family who lives there. However, a breach to the outside means that the only remains of the family who live there are ashes, but the robot goes about unaware that anything has changed. Eve of Destruction. A new android called Eve, made by the military as a deadly soldier, has gone AWOL after she was damaged during an attempted bank robbery. A counter-terrorist expert is brought in to find her. The only catch is that her nuclear power source is degrading, so they'll need to find her before she explodes. Gerolsteiro, a short film that's only like 10 minutes long by the director of 964 Pinocchio, that feels like the testbed or inspiration for some of the scenes seen in that movie. Warrior of the Lost World. On the run from a fascist dictatorship called Omega, the rider strikes a deal with a group of hideaways called the Elders. Him and Nastasia will go to the heart of Omega's city to rescue her father, a professor who has been sentenced to death. Black Magic M66. A journalist tries to tell the truth regarding a military craft that has crashed in the forest. It turns out the plane was carrying a deadly machine that's gone rogue, and the military are trying to stop it. TC-2000. The rich live protected underground, while the poor live in the polluted surface to face disease and famine. The underground city has these enforcers called tracker communicators that stop those trapped on the surface from getting to the protection down below. Wedlock. After being double-crossed by his partners, a bank robber is sent to an experimental penal facility. A device is put around each prisoner's neck, and each one is paired with another prisoner's device. If the devices are separated by more than 100 yards, they both explode. The thing is, no prisoner knows who their device is paired with, ensuring no one attempts an escape. Tokyo Blood. A collection of 4 stories following different people in Tokyo, from a mystery about a hole, a strange epidemic of people turning into stone, an ominous showcase of paranoia, and deep conversations about life. 2019, After the Fall of New York. New York is a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and it doesn't look too good in this movie either. Society has collapsed into 2 factions, the Yuraks and the Federation. Mercenaries hired by the Federation to go into New York and rescue the only fertile woman left on Earth. Goku, Midnight Eye. The police are investigating a notorious organised crime boss. However, one by one, each of the officers working on the case end up killing themselves after a strange woman appears with peacock feathers. It's up to Goku, a private detective with a recently enhanced eye, and is also immune to the woman, to stop him. Robot Wars. A sequel to Robot Jocks. Most of the US has been rendered uninhabitable due to the Great Toxic Gas Scare of 1993. The large battle robots have been refitted to be these huge passenger transports. The North Hemi faction plans to develop defense robots to sell to the Eastern Alliance, until the Centros raiders attack and threaten their deal. Appleseed. After World War III, a city known as Olympus was created with the aim to make it a utopia. A group of terrorists plan to destroy the supercomputer, Gaia, that oversees the functions of the city. To enhance SWAT members, a human and a cyborg, try to stop them. Steel and Lace. When a group of men who attacked Scaly Morton, a classical pianist, are acquitted, she takes her own life. Her brother Albert manages to bring her back as a cyborg. In a new, enhanced and deadly form, she seeks revenge on the men who wronged her. Welcome to the Terradome. Set in the fictional city of Terradome, the movie explores themes of racial tension and police brutality. A white woman who runs away from her abusive ex now lives with her new boyfriend in a predominantly black neighbourhood. When her ex sees her in Terradome is when these racial tensions boil over. Bao, the Visitor. With the help of a young girl, a boy known as Bao escapes from a top-secret military organisation who were conducting experiments on him. Their aim was to make the ultimate soldier, but with him now free, they do everything in their power to kill him and destroy his body. Venus Wars. The planet Venus has been colonised by humans, but unfortunately war has broken out between the colonies Ishtar and Aphrodite. The film follows a journalist and a bike racer as they both navigate the conflict. Slipstream. With pollution and extreme weather making the world mostly uninhabitable, humans have resorted to living in canyons to survive. Two police officers have arrested a violent criminal when a bounty hunter abducts him to claim the bounty for himself. Siren. Bounty hunter Iria and her AI assistant Bob plan to capture the alien creature known as Zyram, when two electricians accidentally transport themselves to the virtual realm where Zyram is located. Kamikaze 89. Set in a future Germany that on the surface seems peaceful, but in reality all freedoms are suppressed. After a bomb threat is made to a company, the case is given to an eccentric yet brilliant investigator. Golem. Inspired by the Jewish folklore of the golem, it follows a man called Pernat, who has no memory of who he is. The film starts with him being accused of murder, and there seems to be another man who looks just like him. The movie follows his journey, as he tries to find out who he really is. Mechanical Violator Hokkaido, based on the 70s TV series called Android Hokkaido. It follows Hokkaido as he escapes from an underground bunker and goes on his way to find Jesus Town, formerly known as Jerusalem. There, law and order is enforced by an angelic cyborg called Michael, who Hokkaido is the predecessor to. Nirvana. Shortly before his new game is set to be released, a game developer discovers a computer virus has made his playable character sentient. This character has experienced his death multiple times and asks his developer to end his existence and spare any further suffering. Genocyber. With corporations being the dominant power in the world, they use both the cybernetic and the psychic to create the perfect weapons. One head of a corporation uses a pair of young twins who were born with strong psychic powers with that very aim in mind. Full Metal Yakuza. Kenzuka collects his Yakuza boss from prison when he is released, but soon afterwards they're both killed by a rival gang. A scientist manages to resurrect Kenzuka as a cyborg with the help of some body parts from his boss, including his heart. Soon he develops an insatiable desire for revenge. Future Cops. In the future, a judge is going to sentence the general, a vicious crime lord, to jail. To stop this from happening, he sends 3 of his minions to 1993 to kill the judge way before he can stop him. It is up to the future cops to follow them back in time, protect the soon-to-be judge, and to prevent any change to the future. Crazy Thunder Road. A leader of a biker gang falls in love and soon drifts away from the ideals of the rest of the group. Soon after, this leads to a gang war between them and another biker gang, Eliminators. In an effort to understand time travel, a scientist creates a cyborg called Mandroid. After succeeding, he tries to have him scrapped, but not wanting to be taken apart, Mandroid flees, but soon returns with some help to stop his creator's time travel experiments. Executioners. The Heroic Trio 2. Clean drinkable water has become a rarity after a deadly nuclear attack. When a movement to overthrow the government and control the water comes to play, it is up to the Heroic Trio to save the city. Solo. Solo is an android who is made to be the perfect soldier, but when his directive of not killing innocent people means that they have failed a mission, he is slated to be deactivated, but soon he escapes and helps a group of villagers fight back. $60 Million Man. When a rich playboy flirts with a mafia boss's girlfriend, he's blown up, but is soon rebuilt with the ability to transform himself into many different appliances in what is a wacky comedy. He ends up working at school and falls in love with one of his old classmates. The Demolitionist, a movie that seems to have a thing for the colour blue and Dutch tilts. Alyssa Lloyd is undercover in a dangerous gang ruled by one Mad Dog, but she and her partner are soon found out and are both hospitalised. With the sitting mayor running for re-election, she gets a scientist to run an experimental program using Alyssa as his subject. He places nanites in her blood that regenerate any wound, making her an unstoppable fighter of crime. One catch, she needs to get daily injections or she will die. Armitage 3. When arriving on Mars, police officer Syllabus and his partner Armitage find a murdered country singer at an airport, but after further investigation, it's revealed that she is a new type of robot. Wanting to find out where she came from, the pair are put on the case. The Mind's Eye. While not really a cyberpunk movie, it's still an interesting entry. The Mind's Eye and others that followed are a showcase of CGI and what it could do at the time. It features many dynamic and creative sequences that may look crude and dated now, and some feel like a fever dream, but it's interesting to see how far the technology has come and what it looked like back then. This CGI was a precursor to movies like Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Ants, and Shrek. Cybertracker. In this future, policing is done by these robots called trackers. They're a kind of mix between the Terminator, Agent 47, and Johnny Sim. A Secret Service member who is tasked with protecting a senator is framed for a crime he didn't commit, and he has to fight and avoid these trackers. One bit of tech I really found interesting in this movie is the one that makes you go to sleep on command. Oh, I could really do with this in my life. Knight Rider 2000. Knight Rider was a series that went on for 4 seasons, starring David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight, and followed him with his car called Kit as they fought crime. Some years after it ended, there was an effort to bring it back, called Knight Rider 2000. Instead of a contemporary setting, it's set in a future where police no longer have guns. Instead, they have non-lethal sonic weapons and criminals are cryogenically frozen. This was made as a 2-hour pilot with a hope to make it a full series. However, it wasn't too popular, so it was never picked up for a full series. Outlaw Star. On a faraway colony, Gene Starwind is a gunslinger for hire. But when a mysterious and secretive woman asks for their bodyguard services, he finds himself being hunted by pirates, the Vindicator. Soon after venting his frustration that his research funding has been cut once again, Karl is seemingly killed in an accident in the lab. But unbeknownst to his wife, he's been transformed by his former colleagues into a machine-human hybrid. He goes haywire and escapes. With his transformation making him automatically violent, Karl tries to keep away from everybody to avoid killing them. Cyborg Cop. A DEA agent is ambushed in the Caribbean and is taken by this movie's villain played by John Rhys Davies. In his hideaway, he turns him into a cyborg that will do his bidding, but his brother, also a DEA agent, goes looking for him. Although a fun B-movie in its own right, John Rhys Davies' performance is the highlight of this movie. Harrison Bergeron. Harrison is a straight-A student, which in this world is a problem, where there's an extreme adherence to normalcy. He is scolded for getting an A+, and is sent to have treatment to make him dumber, and therefore more normal. Half Man. A film that captures the performance of a German band called Einstürzende Nebauten in an abandoned factory. Along with the music, we see some striking imagery sprinkled in. You could see this as a 50-minute music video. Android. On a secluded space station, Max serves as a research assistant. He's also an android who has a Pinocchio-like obsession with human sexuality, which comes to a head when a group of fugitives arrive, one being a woman. Giorgio Moroder's Metropolis. In 1984, Giorgio Moroder bought the rights to 1929's Metropolis, originally directed by Fritz Lang. He then decided to re-release it in what ended up being the first attempt to remaster the silent film. Here we see frame tinting, new effects, and a whole new score. The story of Metropolis being one of class divide. Wealthy leaders live in skyscrapers while workers toil down below. Angel Cop. With most of the world's financial and political power now concentrated in Tokyo, it has become a strong magnet for terrorism. To help combat this, the police introduced these deadly special operatives, including the titular Angel Mutant Hunt. An evil scientist has turned these harmless robots into deadly cyborgs that are designed to kill humans. It is up to the sister of their creator and a mercenary to stop them. Expect no mercy. Within this high-tech dojo, assassins are trained using virtual reality with great success. From there, the leader of the compound runs a hitman organization. Justin Vanier is sent in undercover to infiltrate the academy and to bring the operation down. Gunhead. Supercomputers have been made thanks to the newly discovered substance called Tex-Mexium. Sounds delicious. After a deadly war with the newly sentient machines, the humans won, but left them isolated on a faraway island off the coast of Asia. But when a team of scavengers come to loot the island of microchips, they awaken the deadly machines that are still there. Crash and Burn. The organisation called Unicom has become the dominant power, taking over the world's finance and controlling the media. They also banned computers and robots. However, when a robot infiltrates a news station, a Unicom employee must help the others survive and hide out from the thermal storm. Project Metal Beast. A CIA agent injects himself with the blood of a werewolf that he found on a mission, but when he loses control and turns violent, he's frozen. 20 years later, he's unfrozen to help deal with experiments regarding new skin tissue, but soon after he becomes violent once more. Robot Ninja. When a comic book artist, Leonard Miller, witnesses a heinous crime, he asks his inventor friend for help. He then begins his transformation into his very own comic book superhero character, Robot Ninja, where he now exacts his vengeance. Hologram Man. A man who has committed countless crimes is sentenced to holographic prison, but when he is up for parole, his henchmen hack the hearing, turning him into a powerful holographic entity. I Love Maria. A gang is terrorizing Hong Kong and is using robots to do it. The first one is a mecha robot that is used to rob a bank. The second is a human-looking one, using the likeness of the gang leader's girlfriend. On a mission to kill someone, she gets damaged, but soon gets reprogrammed to protect the city instead of attacking it. Bubblegum Crisis. The mega corporation, Genom, has created these machines to help rebuild Tokyo after a massive earthquake called boomers. But when these machines go out of control, 4 mercenaries in power armor take to the streets to stop them. AD Police Files. A prequel to Bubblegum Crisis, set in the same future Mega Tokyo, this time following police as they deal with these boomers. Caterpillar. An experimental film that follows various characters as we see a strange cybernetic caterpillar that looks like tinfoil stalking them. The Black Bomber. In a near-future authoritarian Belgrade, an anti-establishment radio host gets shut down by the state for being subversive. Soon after, he takes to the road to continue to broadcast his message, all the while running away from the police. Metal Skin Panic Maddox 01. A new experimental military machine called Maddox 01 has gone missing after an explosion, so they try to look for it and retrieve it, but not before a mechanic finds it and accidentally gets trapped inside. Adrenaline. Fear the Rush. After the fall of the Russian Republic, a deadly biological weapon has been released, killing thousands if not millions. In Boston, the police find out there's a murderer on the loose, and they believe he is infected with this deadly weapon. If they don't kill him before he becomes infectious in 2 hours, it will spread and kill thousands more. Carnosaur 2. A team of technicians are tasked with repairs at a nuclear waste storage facility, but the jobs get a lot more complicated when they discover the facility is teeming with cloned dinosaurs. Dominion Tank Police. In this future, the air has become so polluted and infected that people need to wear gas masks outside, and crime has gotten so bad that police now use tanks to combat it. Omega Doom. A loose sci-fi retelling of Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo. Omega Doom, a robot with all of his programming wiped, goes to a town that has these 2 different cybernetic factions at each other's throats, the droids and the ROMs. He tells them both there's a hidden cache of weapons and needs their help to get them, playing them against each other. Wild Palms. In this surreal miniseries, we see a company that has launched a new technology that can display scenes inside people's homes. The story follows a character called Wycroft as he navigates the corporate world and soon begins to question if his family really are his family. MD Geist. In the future, there are these MDSs, which stand for Most Dangerous Soldiers, which are genetically modified super soldiers, but due to their violent nature, they are cryogenically frozen on a satellite in orbit. Here we follow one such MDS, called Geist, as he helps the army destroy a doomsday device. Future Sport. Instead of armed conflicts, disputes are settled using sporting events. Here we have 2 factions, the North American Alliance and the Pan-Pacific Commonwealth, fight for who controls Hawaii. Digital Devil Story. Megami Tensei. A newly transferred high school student develops a crush on a fellow student who is a computer genius and is trying to summon a demon from his computer. Future Force. In the future, a radical approach is taken to fight rising crime. Police have now been privatised, now run by corporations called the Civilian Operated Police Systems, or COPS for short. People are seen by them as guilty until proven innocent. Gaga, glory to the heroes. The exploration of new planets in the future is done by prisoners. When the protagonist arrives at this planet called Australia 458, he's greeted by the colonist as a hero, only to see that the colony has already descended into anarchy. Megazone 23. Humanity no longer lives on Earth. Instead, they live on these large city ships in space called megazones to escape their now uninhabitable planet. Our protagonist's friend gives him a bike shortly before he is killed that actually turns out to be a government prototype drone. Organ. A couple of police officers raid a human organ trafficking organisation, but things soon turn south, with one of them being left behind. While the responsibility of the operation's failure is put at his feet, the escaped police officer tries to rescue his partner. Twilight of the Dark Master. Tsunami is on the hunt of a human that has been transformed into a monster that has eaten his girlfriend's arm and several cops. In this world there are humans, and also demons created by the Great Spirit Mother, as well as guardians to protect humans from the demons. Virtual combat. Virtual reality is widely used as a getaway for the public, sometimes for intense combat simulation, but mostly for cybersex. The company that makes these simulations has now started to make real physical robots, but soon 3 of them escape with the aim to free their fellow programs, and it's up to a grid runner whose partner is killed by one of them to stop them. Digital Man. An experimental robot named the D1, or Digital Man, is on the way back after securing nuclear launch codes from a group of terrorists, but on its way back, his original programming activates, goes rogue and crashes in the desert. A group of colonial marine wannabes are sent in to retrieve the codes and neutralize Digital Man. Take the X train. A train slated to be written off as scrap somehow comes online and zips through the railways as an invisible rogue ghost train. Unable to stop said train, Toru, who works for the rail company, is sent in to stop it. Battle-Girl, the living dead in Tokyo Bay. An asteroid has struck the Tokyo Bay area and has a strange effect of raising the dead. The military soon declare martial law, making sure no survivors escape the area. It is up to Battle-Girl to get the survivors to safety and defend them against the military. Deathline. Had some trouble researching for this one. I was looking for a movie called Deathline, only to find one called Redline on IMDb, and for it to be the same movie. Then I realised I already have this movie on DVD, but that copy is under the title of Armageddon. Other titles include The Syndicate, Reincarnation, Crime Command. I mean, this movie has more names than The King. Rutger Hauer's character is trying to smuggle microchips when his partners double-cross him and leave him for dead. The Russian military revives him, then escapes to get his revenge on his former friends who are now involved in the Moscow crime underworld. Lady Battle Cop. Another RoboCop-inspired movie, this time from Japan. A large paramilitary criminal organisation called the Cartel take over large parts of Tokyo. The police have made efforts to make a cybernetic police officer to try and stop them. Their opportunity comes when a tennis player is killed. They bring her back to life as the titular Battle Cop. A bitter message of hopeless grief. Oh, that sounds charming, doesn't it? This is a short film that features these robot animals that are half machine, half bone, and shows their interactions. Dr. M. In Berlin, there is a sudden spate of several people taking their own lives at once. Is this a symptom of modern society? Is it a coincidence? Or is there something more sinister afoot? Cyberpunk. This documentary on the then newly formed cyberpunk genre is a cool little time capsule of the cyberpunk subculture back in 1990. It features interviews with various hackers, academics, and authors, such as William Gibson, who wrote the book Neuromancer. These talking heads give their predictions of technology in the 21st century, with some being eerily accurate, like instant global communication and being able to work remotely. The documentary has a really cool retro style, where the most cursed way I've seen someone censor a person's face with this PS1 looking sleep paralysis demon looking thing. Knights. An army of cyborg vampires need the blood of 10,000 humans in order to survive. So they march on to the nearest settlement. The only thing that stands between them are a young woman who survived one of their attacks, and a cyborg whose sole programming is to kill other cyborgs. Apex. In 2073, these robots called Apex are sent back in time to study and explore the past. A contingency is put in place that if a paradox has occurred, the Apexes are to eliminate that paradox. However, when something goes wrong when one of them is sent back to 1973, it creates an alternate future where humanity is stuck in a perpetual war with these Apex machines. Download Devil's Circuit. A computer virus called deathmail is spreading among young people. If you do not spread it to 3 other people within 3 days, it will kill you. The film follows a Buddhist monk who is also a skilled hacker as he investigates deathmail. Dandy Dust. An androgynous cyborg has their memories taken away. They're then sent through time and space in what seems like a cacophony of visual stimuli. MTV Japan Station. MTV Japan launched in 1993, and the first ident was directed by Shinya Tsukamoto, who made Tetsuo the Iron Man. It had a similar style and vibe to that movie, with 9 Inch Nails doing the soundtrack. Fun fact, they also did a collaboration later on, with 9 Inch Nails doing the theme to Tsukamoto's 2009 movie, Tetsuo the Bullet Man. Cyberzone. A bounty hunter who specialises in tracking androids is tasked with locating 4 pleasure droids that have been smuggled to Earth from Jupiter. Heatseeker, a corporation that develops cybernetically enhanced fighters, wants a chance to demonstrate their new technology, so they aim to get one of the most successful fighters in the world, O'Brien, to fight them. But when he refuses, they abduct his soon-to-be wife to force him to compete. Andromeda. After the daughter of a computer scientist is killed, he manages to bring her back using her memories. But when a corporation wants to take her away for their own ends, he puts her into his daughter's boyfriend's laptop to keep her hidden. Circuitry Man. With the atmosphere unbreathable, humans now seek chips they can use to plug into themselves for pleasure as a narcotic. But when a deal for said chips goes wrong, Laurie and Dana must go to New York in order to sell these chips, all the while trying to avoid Circuitry Man who is hot on their tail. Mika Droid. Robokill beneath Disco Club Layla. In Japan during World War II, there was a lab that was used to turn humans into these part machine super soldiers, but it was thought to be destroyed when the Americans bombed the area. Years later, a club called Layla has been built over it, but unbeknownst to everyone, 45 years later, the Mika droid is still alive and begins a killing spree. Future Kick. In the dystopian future of 2025, the black market human organ trade is rampant. A woman hires a cyborg bounty hunter to find out who killed her husband and stole his heart. But while on the hunt, they discover the conspiracy with the black market goes way deeper than they originally thought. Project Shadow Chaser. A group of terrorists led by a robot that looks as if the Terminator and Roy Batty had a baby take over a hospital, with one of the hostages being the president's daughter. The FBI take the man who designed the building out of cryogenic prison to help with getting the hostages out. The only thing is, they thawed out the wrong guy, but not wanting to be put back under, he says nothing. Guyver, out of control. A high school student comes across a strange metal armor that bonds with him to become the Guyver. The Kronos Corporation, who created the suit, will stop at nothing to get it back. The Guyver, Bio Booster Armor. This was the second adaptation of Bio Booster Armor Guyver, after Guyver Out of Control, this time being a 12-episode anime instead of a 55-minute OVA. T-Force. Cybernauts are used by the police to help deal with more deadly situations. But when a hostage situation leads to the death of 6 hostages due to a conflict of their directives, the mayor decides to retire the T-Force. But when their termination contradicts with their directive of self-preservation, they kill their makers and escape. Love Wedge. A society that's been stratified by hair colour. Those with blonde hair are the elites. Those with dark hair are at the bottom of society. Blondies live in Tanagura. Dark hairs live in Ceres. The story focuses on the romance between Ricky, a dark-haired, and Aizen, a blondie. The Strike Back of Asia. A training bunker for psychic soldiers has kept these 4 for over 20 years. Eventually, one of them snaps and wants to go out to the wastelands above. Crime Zone. Bone and Helen form a Bonnie and Clyde relationship, where they're tasked with stealing some sensitive data from a hospital. Their reward is to escape the oppressive state of Soleil to the seemingly idyllic state of Frodon. Future Shock. This movie is an anthology of stories following patients of a psychiatrist as he tries to help them through virtual reality. The cases include a woman with a fear of being home alone, a man who has the worst tenant imaginable, and a man who is fearful of everything that could kill him. New Dominion Tank Police. A sequel to Dominion Tank Police. Tank Police's overzealous approach to catching criminals and causing excessive destruction of property sparks public outrage and has led to an inquiry in the department. Conceiving Ada. A computer genius called Emmy Koa is working on new and innovative computer systems. Her breakthroughs allow her to communicate with Ada Lovelace, who was the woman who developed the first computer algorithm and who Emmy has an obsession with. Bunker Palace Hotel. The revolution is upon us, and with it comes violence. The powerful elite make it to the bunker that has been prepared for an event such as this and hide underground, but confusion surrounds them as they realise that their president hasn't made it. Cybernator. A group of cyborgs, with one of them looking like one of those twins from The Matrix Reloaded, start to target officials that have been passing anti-cyborg legislation. A pair of police detectives start to investigate these murders, but are soon told to leave the case alone, but not once for following orders, they look into it anyway. Love City. An organisation has created these people with special psychic abilities called headmeters. Two of them, Kai and I, try to escape with the help of another headmeter, K2, who was chasing them before, and also a drunk cop. Scourge of Blood. This short film has some of the most aggressive editing I've seen in any film on this iceberg. Another one from the director of 1964 Pinocchio, where it follows a man attacking another. Karate Cop. John Travis is one of the last cops left, and of course he knows karate. The world is full of marauders, and Travis agrees to help a bunch of kids to safety. To do that, he needs a special crystal that will activate a teleporter. Silent Mobius. After a spate of attacks by these mystical creatures called the Lucifer Hawks, the police create a new team to deal with them. On the way to visit her dying mother, Katsumi is attacked by one of these creatures, only to be saved by two police officers part of that squad. Cyber Vengeance. Prisons have now changed in the future, now putting prisoners in suspended animation and placing their minds into virtual reality. They also have a side business, where the wealthy can pay to fight the prisoners in VR to the death over and over again. American Cyborg, Steel Warrior. Nuclear war has left everyone sterile, well, nearly everyone. One woman is fertile and must make her way to a ship with the help of a mercenary, all the while being pursued by a ruthless robot. Darkside Blues. The Persona Century Corporation has taken over almost every piece of land in the world, with the parts they do control operating under strict authoritarianism. One of the last holdouts is Kabukicho, also known as the Dark Side of Tokyo. A mysterious stranger called Darkseid appears to help the people of Kabukicho. Brain Twisters. A professor at a school uses his students to help with his experiments. These experiments subject them to various stimuli in order to make a better video game experience, but suspicions arise as one by one the students end up getting murdered. Programmed to Kill. A female terrorist is killed and taken to be turned into the ultimate fighting machine, a deadly cyborg used to fight back at said terrorists. But when something goes wrong in her programming, the mercenary who originally brought her in is tasked with stopping her. Neon City. The ozone layer is completely gone, with deadly storms and solar radiation being regular hazards. A disparate group of survivors aim to escape the deadly wastelands and reach a safe haven, a place called Neon City. Cyberjack. A computer virus is being developed, one made with the help of living brain tissue to help it think into systems. And what we get here is a Die Hard-like movie when terrorists storm the company building it one night in an effort to steal said virus. Future Zone. A sequel to Future Force that sees John Tucker's son travel back in time 30 years to team up with his father and to stop him being killed on the case he's currently on. Cyber Ninja. The future where humans and cyborg ninjas fight a war with each other. The cyborgs plan on sacrificing a human princess to summon the rest of their cyborg brethren, so the humans plan to raid the fortress and stop them. Firehead. A scientist and special agent are sent to capture a Russian cyborg who has gone haywire and also has telekinetic abilities, but little do they know he is trying to defect. Lucky Sky Diamond. A woman who is experiencing nightmares is being treated by her doctor boyfriend and her sister in a special clinic. But as she's not getting any better, she is scheduled for a special brain surgery. Firepower. When crime is through the roof, a new policy is brought in to create a zone of personal freedom, where minor crimes will be allowed. And it worked, briefly. But when a counterfeit medicine is produced and distributed from there, 2 cops go to investigate, only to be sucked into the underground fight club. And there we have it, the end of part 2. Yeah, most of these I haven't seen before. Some really good gems in there. If you have seen any of these, please let me know down below, and hopefully I can get the final part out quicker than this one. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe, and we'll see you later.